first.
I've got a song. See if you can pull all this together. They say that tree won't make a dent, but now that branch has got me heaven sent.
Rewriting Sonny and Cher songs to his poor demise.
That's 3 minutes gone.
Hello, and welcome to the Village Idiom.
Welcome. Good to see you, Vince.
It is a great day, Mark.
Isn't it?
Happy January 29th.
29th.
I catch
It's
a
almost February.
niner in there.
Catch a niner in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
I've thoroughly enjoyed this month already, and excited about everything that February has for me.
Good. That's a great answer. For a new year, you never know. Did you have New Year's resolutions?
I did.
Did you botch them up yet?
My big one was to defatify myself.
How's that going?
It's going pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm down
I was gonna ask.
9 pounds in 3 weeks.
Wow, that's substantial.
It's significant.
What are you
I have
doing?
a significant amount to lose. I'm not too bad. I'm clocked in right now at 231, doing some Weight Watchers,
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're following something.
following something.
Point system.
Yeah, the heated bead suit, as described by.
What?
Do you ever see that
No.
that SNL skit
No.
with Jim Carrey, where he was like hyped up on like some sort of drugs, and he's like, and he would wear a heated bead suit, dropping
His
weight.
loss.
Yeah, his big thing was the side effect was that he could read minds. Scan me. Yeah, it's
How's
fantastic.
that working for you?
I
What
can't
am
do
I
that-
thinking right now?
I can't do that part. You're probably thinking, let's move along.
Oh, fair enough.
Is it accurate?
No,
Nice.
I was hoping you'd say today's title, today's idiom. That's what I was
I have
thinking.
no idea what's happening today.
Well,
I just couldn't seem to wrap my mind around what was happening
there
today.
it is. The idiom of the day is. There's a few versions of this idiom because there's like a.
Do tell.
I can't wrap my mind around this. He couldn't wrap his brain around it. Wrap your head around it. Get your head around it. But they're all the same thing. They all.
I'd read when I started Googling it, people versions of couldn't get my head into it.
Oh, I heard one that
But
was lumped in with the same category.
I don't think
couldn't
that's
get
the
my arms around it.
I don't think that's even in the same.
That was no. Couldn't get my head. Yeah, head around it.
Like my head into it. I don't know. It seems like a concentration kind of issue, as
Right.
opposed to like I don't have a clue what's going on.
Right.
Which is more what this is about. The can't wrap your brain around a concept, an idea, something
Yeah.
that just.
That's the gist of it, right? So, like, actual usage of it, you basically said it. I actually wrote it down. So, the way a couple versions of it, but to comprehend something that one considers challenging. So, it's not just understanding, it's something that should be a little bit challenging. Now you understand it, you've wrapped your brain around it, you've wrapped your head around it. Or you can't. I can't even. The other thing is if you just can't understand something, like, something that's just so, whether it's a political position or something, you're like, I just can't wrap my head around that.
Right. When I was going through it and trying to think of things in terms of, material and to talk about and searching the news, this was a weird, struggling one that kept coming back to really dark subjects.
Oh, really?
Like it seemed to be like a thing. And for people being unable to wrap their head around, maybe it was a tragedy. Science was in
Just the
there.
understanding.
Yeah, so there was the science was in
I'm
there.
sure God and religion.
God and religion, these types of things that are.
Oh man, I was on my research. My
the-
in-depth 7 days, 8 hours a day of research. I was on a way lighter tip.
Sitting on the toity with your phone in hand,
My phone.
googling. Yeah, it got really dark.
But so just to go over the usage or not the origins, but the definition of it is like to understand something. But I think it's as elaborate as all that is it's as simple as getting something in your head, right? So the thought or the idea, the concept is inside your head, thus your head is wrapped around something.
Yeah, I took it more on
Like an implant.
less the receiving of the knowledge, like not an inception sort of thing, but just that you got it, but like you got the nut of it, but you just couldn't think of like, how does this work in actuality?
I'll give you my lighter stuff, but
Sure.
Head me down your. Let's start with the dark. We'll bring it back around to a little happier notes because I was just looking up
We'll
things
start-
like
okay, dark.
what can I not this is what I started researching. If I can't wrap my brain around something, I'm thinking, what do I got to look at or hear twice, read it twice to go, whoa, what's like a deep thinker to me? That's where I was going.
Which is probably why, as I was looking it up, things that people have a hard time wrapping their head around, like death and morbid things, kept coming up. And so today's joke is terrible.
Oh, you got a joke? Okay.
Yeah.
I actually. So you've been showing me up. I've come with no jokes. I've come with those audio files. I wrote a joke for today.
Oh, fantastic.
So you go ahead. You go first.
Okay. Well, when Sonny Bono died in 1998.
Wait, it doesn't start with like Pinnacle Pete or.
No.
You've always got.
I like to branch it out. Today is
right.
dark humor, and some people will be onto this, and some people will be unsubscribing, and that's how life goes sometimes.
Perfect.
So when Sonny Bono died in 1988,
Now, do you mean Bono this time again?
No, I mean Bono.
Okay.
Sonny Bono, Sonny and Cher. When he died in 1998, I couldn't why did something like this happen to
It's hard to
person?
understand, yeah.
Yeah, and then again, it happened to me in 2013 when Paul Walker died in that car wreck, and then it struck me.
Yeah.
There's just some things you're not meant to wrap your head around.
Right. Oh, that is dark. Because both. Oh,
I know.
See, I was. That hurts me a little bit. Not as much as them. But
Isn't that terrible?
do we connect the dots, or we just let it hang there?
Well, those who will get it will get it.
I was like,
those who will
really,
get
yeah,
it
it's hard to
will get
understand
it.
death. I'm with you, man. I feel for you. I didn't know you were
There's
so
some
close to
things
Sonny
you're not
Bono
meant to wrap
and
your
Paul
head
Walker.
around. Yeah, because Paul Walker might be more notorious because he's
Because it was in his prime, right?
he's at the height of where he's at. He's a great actor, doing really well. All the Fast and Furious franchise stuff happening, and he's a good actor. But then in that horrible twist of things, you shouldn't be laughing at someone's passing. It's not funny that he passed, but he wrapped himself.
He just definitely shouldn't have wrapped his head around.
Shouldn't have wrapped his head around it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know it's so dark, but in the research, dark kept coming back up. You need to lighten it up for us here.
I was saying I was on the lighter tip, but my joke is actually pretty dark.
See, there's something about this topic.
Yeah, if you to be funny with wrapping your head around. First of all, wrapping your head around it. That's the worst gift wrap ever. I got you this.
Is this wrap? I wrap my head around
that. You can never judge by the box you get at Christmas.
Right,
Same
particularly
as the severed head. It's not actually a
wrapped
severed
around.
head. That's not my joke. My joke is this. Are you ready?
Yeah, hit me up.
Okay. I do have a name for the character in my joke.
Nice. Okay, good.
Vlad the Impaler.
Okay.
Vlad the Impaler walks into a stationery store and asks for a pencil sharpener big enough to sharpen a wooden stake. When the clerk asked why, he replied, "I'm just having a hard time wrapping their heads around it."
Nice.
Right?
See, that is dark. And that's 2 weeks in a row a vampire-themed joke.
Oh, maybe it's me.
Maybe
I'm
you.
dark.
Maybe you. Should check. Can you see your reflection in this mirror?
What do you mean? That's not a mirror. It's a window.
Exactly. As a vampire thing.
Okay, when I said I was only coming across lighter things, because I was thinking of what's hard for me to wrap, and usually more philosophical discussions that I get in with people. I enjoy that. Or it's just like it's multi-layered or whatever. So I've got a few for you to think about, and they're kind of jokey. I didn't write these, but you have to, if you heard this caught off guard with one of the two of these, you might go, what? Say that again. So two chemists go into a restaurant. The first one says, "I think I'll just have an H2O." And the second one says, "I think I'll have an H2O too." The second one died.
Nice. Is that some some sort of whatever that is, ozone joke?
Right.
Is that an actual ozone?
H2O is water.
Yeah.
H2O2 is death.
Interesting.
So you got to be a chemist to get that one. Okay, here's another one. I feel like I've said this one.
This is so, but speaks to the point of that the subject matter has a philosophical nature to it.
Right.
And that interesting that both of our independent looking at this came to a dark space.
Right. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting.
Do you know the ship of Theseus?
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's yes, the idea that you take away certain parts of
Yeah,
the ship and you put it over, but eventually, how much of the ship can you take
so
away
the
that
ship,
it's still?
beautiful ship. Say it needs repairs. Say it doesn't need repairs for the sake of
Let's start
argument.
with a P.
You
Continue.
remove the hull of the ship and replace it with new wood.
Right.
And then eventually you remove the stern, replace it with new wood, replace the sails, so on and so on and so on. And then every part of that ship has been changed. Is it still the same ship? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can relate it to yourself. Like when you were a baby,
right,
you have a different personality. Your cells of your body switch. Are you still the same person?
It's all philosophical.
So how do you feel about that ship, though? Because there was a second level to this that I discovered that I was like, oh.
The next, like when I was doing all my philosophy classes, the next step is the reassembly of the parts.
Yes, that's the part I've never heard before.
And so, well, the first one is the
'Cause you
ship.
could argue
And the
that's
second
still
one,
the same ship.
the
You've
second
just
one is
repaired
the
things.
ship.
Right.
Yeah.
Or is neither the original?
Neither, both. Which
So
brings
just
up things like
'cause
quantum physics.
You leapt to that part. So just to explain, if you removed all these parts to rebuild it, is it still the same ship? You could argue, yeah, you've just slowly
Right,
replaced
this
these parts.
plank rotted
But
out,
if
or
you
this plank got
let's
bad.
say it didn't. They're in perfectly good condition and they've been set aside, and now you reassemble it with the parts you've removed into a fully functional original ship.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have two. You just argued that the one you replaced all the parts on is still the original ship, just with replaced parts. But now you've reassembled the original parts. You have two
Absolutely.
ships.
I know this is a philosophical question.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's I'm fascinated that this one idiom is like a mind melter that takes you to this place of philosophy and like there's
On the religion side of things is like, can God make a rock? So if you believe that God is all powerful, can God make a rock that is too large for him to lift? So it's that paradox situation.
Sure.
Of course, you have to have a set of beliefs to even comprehend that. I've got a couple, but maybe we'll come back to it if we have time, because there's one that just stumped me. I loved it.
Do you remember the comedian Sam Kinison?
Totally. I saw a special on him last night.
He was a screamer. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't. I just as I was going through. He came up as like, I enjoy watching comedians and just kind of taking my mind off of everything. And he was the screamer comedian, and be yelling at people and getting all fired up, and yelled half of his act, which is fantastic.
Not just yelled, like
he is screaming,
like the heavy metal of stand-up comedy.
Yeah, he could go right there, screamo comedian. He had this bit on drunk driving where he's like, like no one wants to drive drunk, but how are you supposed to get your car home when you're drunk? Like you got to be able to get your car home. Yelling at people this drunk driving bit that he was known for, his little routine. And then he was killed by a 17-year-old drunk driver.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's what ended up taking him out. The irony of like having this comedic bit about drunk driving and like, well, how else are you supposed to get your car home?
Oh, man.
And then taken out by a drunk driver.
A guy that should not have had his head wrapped around that.
He was ahead of his time, the poor dude.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I find those discussions in general, whether it be irony or a paradox or situation, I find fascinating. Like I could do that all day, because I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind being stumped.
Right.
I don't mind, like, even when we play our Riddle Link games, I don't mind if I don't get it. I enjoy the process, the discussion.
Exactly.
I'm going to give you one more. I hope we have enough time for this, because
Sure.
I thought it was so
Sure.
cool. Do you know the crocodile paradox?
No.
Okay, imagine, if you will, a woman walking her small child down a path alongside a river somewhere in the world where there are crocodiles. Crocodile comes out of the river, swallows the small child. The mother pleads with the crocodile, please, 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 is there any way you can give me back my child? And the crocodile replies with this: if you can correctly tell me whether I will give you the child back or not, you can have your child. I'll release the child. So here's the conundrum. If she correctly says you will release the child, and he does, no paradox. But if she says you will not release the child, no matter what he was supposed to do,
right,
it's a paradox, because you will not release the child if she's correct.
It's the door knocker who's lying paradox. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And I was just like, if she's wrong, he would have to break his word to do it. If she's right, he would have to break his word. It's fascinating. I was just like reading these things, jotting them down.
It's wrapped into that. Which one's lying? There's two people. Yeah. One's always telling the truth, one's not.
You must know people who like have no enjoyment in these conversations, and they would reply with, "I can't wrap my brain around this," and walk away from
You're
the
like,
conversation.
this is stupid. Pass the chips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not that they're an unintelligent person. It's a
It's
fascination.
just they can't wrap their head around it.
Yeah, and it's not a negative thing. Yeah, it's just like,
Right.
no,
Some of those
no.
things are just so left field. You're like, is there even a point? Is this like, what is
Or
the
just
value of
the
answering this
inability
question?
to understand something, not to stay in the darker side of things, but a pedophile. Like I can't even wrap my brain around that idea that someone would go there.
Me neither. Let's move along.
Yes, that can be taken out later. But you know what I mean? You just can't even understand, and
Right.
you don't want to.
Right. I don't know what you're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's paradoxical. You can't get your mind around it. But there's like lighter things too. I was reading an article from an Australian magazine called Kid Spot, and it was
Wait, is that one word?
Kid
You
Spot.
Sure it's kid. Is it Kid Spot or is it Kids?
Kid Spot. That's a Canadian magazine.
Kids Pot.
Kid Spot. No, it's Kid Spot. And the article was about like a
We
over
have a Kid Spot at our house.
An
It's
over-
the corner. You face it. Face the Kid Spot. I'll tell you when you can turn
Just
around.
put it in the corner. This is stupid. Okay.
Sorry, keep going.
And the mom, overzealous, she was like really into how her children looked, and it was like a big deal.
Just
she
vanity
was
kind of thing?
she was glammed up herself,
Right.
and wanted her children, so her young daughters, to reflect. I don't know whatever was going on the inside of her that,
Yeah.
but she also wanted her kids to have this, and so she plucked their eyebrows and to make sure that
Perfectly shaped.
waxed,
and blah, blah, blah.
waxed the hair off of
How little are the kids?
like 8.
Oh,
like
wow.
this sort of thing, and making sure to check them for for aesthetics before they left for school.
Right.
And so if you're at a place in life that you're like, I don't even understand how what's going on in your thinker, that level of vanity is there.
Yeah.
This somehow reflect. I know you can't wrap your head
No,
around it. Yeah,
no.
because you're not there.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on. So
That's
with
a way
this
better
woman.
example.
Yeah, or you could talk about pedophilia. Like
I guess.
I just went with vanity, but
I just wanted to state how much I can't understand that. I cannot wrap my brain around
I have
that
no
idea.
idea what that means.
Man.
Yeah.
Why don't we get to origins?
Sure.
Ready for that?
Well, you're gonna have to take the lead on this for sure.
Origins.
Origins.
Mouthful of your drink at the same time.
Sorry.
Okay, so did you come across anything? Because there's not much of an origin story to this.
There's like people would try and roll it back. 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But not like a definitive moment like the others.
No, I kept coming across. Did you get the Jim? Is it Croce? Croce?
Yeah.
Close?
You know his song like "Time in a Bottle."
Yeah.
Or,
How do you say
yeah.
his last name?
Croce, I think.
Croce.
Yeah.
That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's what I think.
every time I tried to figure out what the origins were, it would come back to this song. But yet, in the same little articles about it, nobody seemed to say that he coined the phrase. It's just when it seemed to gain some popularity or grow some legs. And
Somewhere I had it back
the
to
song
the
is called "I Can't Get My Head Around
right.
It."
That had to go back to the 20s.
Yeah, that was the first
But it was
dictionary reference.
But there,
right?
yeah, there was no like hard and fast. Like
Yeah.
Shakespeare said this.
No, I know.
Yeah, it was
That's
an interesting one,
That's literally the extent of the history
which is
they have on
peculiar
this one.
in
Is
such
a
a
song
way.
from the 70s and a dictionary entry in the 60s.
I can't wrap my
20s.
I can't wrap my mind around it, to be honest with you.
Right.
How does someone not know the origin? I'm sure if you do, feel free to comment in via
What I
Twitter,
yeah.
Instagram, or drop a comment on the video.
and maybe somebody does know, because what I think would be the most interesting is, because it probably is, you want to get a thought inside your head, and a poetic way of saying that is wrapping your instead of talking about the thought or the concept, you're talking about the head. I got to wrap my brain around that. But I think I'm most interested in its first usage. You know what I mean? In literature or song, when was this phrase first used?
I've got a song. See if you can pull all this together. They say that tree won't make a dent, but now that branch has got me heaven sent.
Rewriting Sonny and Cher songs to his poor demise. So bad.
That's terrible.
So bad. Yeah, no, keep going. You got more?
No, I came across rewrites of Sonny Bono's about being struck by a tree. It's like, there's something sick inside me. There's a sickness that just has to laugh at irony.
Okay, I was gonna save this for when we get to Riddlink, but when I was first thinking about wrapping my head around something, wrapping my brain around, you know what first popped into my head was Terminator 2. When he walks through the bars and he wraps his head around the jail cell bars.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the liquid metal Terminator.
Metal. So he's like, he literally had to wrap his head around it.
That's awesome.
To get through it.
That's a funny little analogy.
Is a hint for one of my Riddlink puzzles coming up.
Okay. Well, I'm not like, you going to throw me one, or do you want to?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Give me a little this time.
I have two as well. Give me some juice.
I'll give you one, and we'll save one for the audience.
Let me go first then, so that to make sure that it balances out.
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go.
So, real quick, if you're just joining
what is a Riddlink all about?
Riddlink is a game that we created several years ago, and basically it's two ideas or two concepts or two trivia question kind of things that you're fusing to. The answer will be fused together by an overlapping sound or syllable or word. So, for example, you might say an old-fashioned toy that hangs on a string with a famous cellist.
Yo-yo ma.
Close.
Yo ma.
Yeah. So you gotta have both, and they're only overlapped part of it.
Yo ma.
That's it. Okay.
That's like I'm almost a gangster rapper now.
Yo ma.
Yo ma. Here we go.
Okay, give it to me. Give it to me.
Physicist Dr. Sam Beckett jumps through space-time only on February 29th.
I'm all over this. Quantum leap year.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Woo.
Quantum leap year.
That feels good.
Yeah, when you nail it. I knew I had quantum leap, and I'm like, please don't fail me.
I knew you'd have
there you go. There's the other example. Two thoughts, quantum leap and leap year. I worded mine differently this time.
I hope it's paragraphs long.
No, it's not. The old jokes is like, what do you get when you cross out blah blah blah, and that's the way I worded it this time. So here's the first one.
Okay.
I got to decide here which one we want to save for the audience, but
sure.
I gave you the T2 hint.
Give them the hard one.
You think?
Well, I'm not doing good on these, so I need my self-esteem needs one.
Okay, I'll save the hint for the hard one is Terminator 2, so we'll save that. So the one I'll give you right now is, what do you get, Vince, when you cross a logical puzzle that seems to contradict itself with a two-worded figure of speech that cancels itself out?
That sounds like a paradoxymoron.
Yeah, paradoxymoron. That's exactly right.
That's fantastic.
Good job. Both
that was
names.
A mouthful.
No, I had to think about it.
Paradoxymoron.
I had to go to the dictionary. How to describe that.
Start Googling things. That was fantastic. Oh, you did a good job on that one. Clever wording.
So we'll come back to, we have one for everybody out there.
I still got one for you.
Oh, yeah. Go.
Okay. Fast and the Furious Brian O'Connor gets roundhouse kicked by cowboy Chuck Norris.
Okay. So I'm going to go with... So you said
Fast and the Furious Brian O'Connor.
I wish I knew Fast and the Furious better. So I'm assuming that's a character name. So I'm going to stick with Paul Walker. Paul Walker, Texas Ranger.
That's it.
Yes. Paul Walker, Texas Ranger.
Ding, ding, ding.
Woo.
You were on fuego today.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, well, as per usual, while we're in the vein of challenging each other, don't look down here. Got a little audio clips for you. Again, here's your challenge. I'm going to play you an audio clip from something. You're going to tell me either the show it's on or the movie. You're going to tell me either the character's name or the actor's name.
Okay.
If it's a song, you can tell me the singer's name or the name of the song. It's wide open as long as you make some connection.
One identifying piece of something.
It is, yeah. So let me get one ready here. Now, part of this is dependent on you actually knowing
I just couldn't get my head around my character. I just couldn't get my head around my character. I just couldn't get my head around my character.
Chance here. So here we go for the first one. 1 and 2.
I just couldn't get my head around my character.
Oh, is that like some Family Guy-ish sort of?
One more time.
I just couldn't get my head around my character.
I couldn't get my head around my character. That it sounds like I would know. I would
guy
love to.
Who
hasn't
Let me
seen
just
Family
get
Guy.
my head around it.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
know.
so
I would
it
love
sounds
to.
like in
Let me
that
just
vein
get
though of that.
my head around it. I would know. I would love to.
It's
Let me
in
just
that
get
vein.
my
It's
head
not
around it.
Family Guy, but it's in that vein as far as obviously it's an animated show.
Okay. Well, the only is it Simpsons type thing is on my list. Is there a dad one?
Rattling
Yeah.
American Dad. Yeah, no. It's Bob's Burger.
Oh, again, I haven't seen a
It's a
single
good
episode.
one.
Is
you
it?
should watch it.
All right.
It's pretty great.
I'm sold.
Okay, let me give you another one.
Yeah, it sounded like that dad from that animated series, The Family Guy.
I would
guy.
know. I would love to. Let me just get my head around it.
Oh dear.
You should. I think you're familiar with this actress.
I would know. I would love to. Let me just get my head around it.
Yep.
Nothing?
Oh, is it the brunette?
Nailed it! I should have said you could be the character name, the actor's name, or just their hair color.
I still probably got it wrong.
No, it is a brunette. It's Tina Fey in Date Night.
Oh man.
With
Jason
Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've not seen this movie either?
I don't go out much.
You need to get out more. It's a funny scene. We'll leave it at that. Okay, this one's we'll try and pick one a little more family friendly here.
Well, it's a bit much to get my head around, to be frank. Well, it's a bit much to get my head around, to be frank. Well, it's a bit much to get my head around, to be frank.
That's not necessary.
That was different.
Okay, here's one.
Well, it's a bit much to get my head around, to be frank.
Oh man.
Well, it's a bit much to get my head around, to be frank.
I'm a hot mess on these. I think I'm batting like 0 for 9. It's about to be 0 for 9.
That is from How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, I've actually seen that with my kids like 100 times.
Right now that you know it, you'll be able to picture the voice actor and everything.
Well, it's a bit much to get my head around, to be frank.
Can't think of the actor's name right now, but
He's the kid who got his foot chopped off or bitten
that's
off.
James Franco.
Nice. That was a different where that kid gets his foot stuck in the rock and he has to chew it off, or
Like Dwayne Johnson.
the rock. Yeah.
He gets his foot stuck in Dwayne Johnson. Okay, there you go.
That didn't
You
feel
want one
good.
more? Or we we probably should give them their riddle link.
Absolutely. We're heading into the final stretches
I'll
of
give you an
things,
easy one.
but
I
need one.
Yeah, you need one. You got to go home happy. So
Trouble
this
wrapping
one,
my head around a couple of them.
nothing
Trouble
else,
wrapping my
you'll
head around a
need the
couple of them.
voice.
Trouble wrapping my head around a
And
couple
if
of
you
them.
don't, I'm afraid I can't come next week. You'll be on your own.
Trouble wrapping my head around a couple of them.
Come on, man.
Trouble wrapping my head around a couple of them.
Oh man, it is going to be a lonely week
Trouble
next
wrapping
week.
my head around a couple of them.
Yeah.
Moving
This is
on.
like-
Steve Carell, The Office.
I was going to say Steve Carell. Honest to goodness. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I didn't.
sure
So
you
it doesn't
were.
count.
Sure you were.
So now it's 0 for 10. Man, I'm
You know
terrible
what? Maybe
at
it's
these.
harder than I think. Maybe we should swap
We
roles.
can swap it up next week.
Okay, here's a riddle link for everybody at home. We'll post it wherever we can post it as well. Here we go.
Hit it up.
So I feel like this is easy, but it's one of those things where certain trivia, you either know it or you don't. So here it is. What do you get when you cross Lawrence to Road with Robert Patrick?
Okay.
What do you get when you cross Lawrence to Road with Robert Patrick? And I said earlier the hint was Terminator 2.
This sounds like a good one to leave with everybody.
We're going to leave it.
So make sure that on social media stuff, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, on the Twitters, or dropping a comment on the YouTube video, that you chime in on this and answer that final riddle link. We're excited. The podcasts are up and available now on iTunes and Google Play Music, as well as Stitcher, Spotify.
And soon, whatever podcast
And tune in.
app you might have should be able to locate this pretty quick. So thank you for listening.
We're excited about it. Subscribe it out and make sure to comment.
Smash that subscribe button.
This has been the Village Idioms.
Yeah.
And that's 3 minutes gone.